I think the fair word is probably very hard, very challenging. I think it has a combination of factors. Firstly, we were the first group of Chinese students back in the 80s, the mid-80s. The cultural background, the China's openness to the Western world and the understanding, language capability were all very, very low. So that's the first level of difficulty you have to overcome. The second level of that is you transit from undergraduate study to postgraduate study. So you are more exposed to the Western classroom environment, which is more seminar and debate focused rather than closed book test based. So that requiring a change in study skills and the method. Moving on to the PhD level, then the more you have to be really to read very widely and efficiently to be able to synthesize your own views and debate through the doctoral program, which is a cluster of various PhD students who will challenge your view. So it's tough for overseas students, but of course it's also a training ground for myself to be more prepared for the following years to come. I belong to the first group of Chinese students who were lucky enough managed to get a joint government scholarship between the UK government and the Chinese government. So I passed the necessary examination. I was lucky to get a scholarship. Subsequently, I landed in Birmingham. But the first stop is actually in Aston. Here I received another 4 weeks of language training. You can see the results of that training is working on myself. Firstly, I went to another university in Birmingham where I did master's program, which was in the broad sense management studies. After that, I said to myself to be relevant to the economic development in China, in Asia, I probably want to do it more at a macro level. So Aston, Business School, Aston Business School came into mind, which was ranked quite high, and it offers the area I want to focus on, which is more how industrial policy can work to turn innovation to help economic growth. That's where I did my PhD, which subsequently helped me to move on with various stages of the career. I think the PhD gives the training on two levels. One is that it helps you to become a subject specialist in a given very narrow area. Secondly, it forces you to read very widely, gain a lot of exposure to other things. I mentioned the doctoral program, which is it's a weekly debate, I believe, among all the PhD students. So that gave you a lot of exposure to other subjects like law, like psychology, like sociology. So that enabled me to take on a job subsequently, which is in journalism. Then from there, I gained more exposure to the economy, to financial markets, then gradually move into banking. No matter how old you are still learning new things. So I think I have done some years of university study. I have done banking for the past 20 years, which I believe I can call myself a banker. Now, while I don't do full-time job anymore, but there are still many other things to learn. In particular, I think the higher education sector is full of learning And I hope I can help to play a role in it, and in particular to help Aston to go forward. I think there are many other things to do, and I think just as I said, in every part of your career you have new things to learn, and I think I now learned tremendously from being a non-executive director on company board, on governance, and also I also learned tremendously being a full-time husband and a father to help my family. And I think it's time you look at life. Work is something you have to do well, and the family is also something you need to look after well. Moving back to the UK gave another new experience compared with 30 years ago, being a student. Now it's into a more settled life, and I think we have to look at this resettlement in the broader scheme of how China and Europe, and in particular UK, are positioned in the international trade and investment flow. So my current plan is actually to help to facilitate the Chinese end of the flow into Europe. Compared with 30 years ago, it's more helping European company and the British company to invest in China. Within that overall context, the student flow we just mentioned between UK and China in the higher education sector is another trade flow, another capital flow. That's something I'm very interested in helping Aston to play a role in that area. I think for younger generation, I think the key words I think I probably would say is encouragement. You encourage them to do what they want to do, even if there may be some initial mistakes. The encouragement needs to be fairly, positive and from the bottom of your heart. And I think children nowadays they are exposed to a lot more knowledge through the social media, through the internet. So they are not short of knowledge. What they need is actually a helping hand to help them to make a judgment on which direction to go. Then the rest is on them.